Hey everyone, welcome to HM Studio. Get ready for an awesome time as we delve into the exciting world of fast lighting drafts using 3ds Max and V-Ray. We're gonna be blown away by 3 mind-blowing references and create some stunning scenes in a flash. Also, just so you know, I've already covered the modeling part for this house in my previous video. If you haven't watched it yet and wanna know how to model it, you can find the link right here. Go check it out first and come back here for more fun. Alright, these are going to be the final results of our tutorial with a little bit of post-production magic. We'll be crafting these 3 stunning images using the references you can see above them. Just keep in mind that this video focuses on quick drafts, but don't worry, you can totally amp up the lighting, materials, and details once you've finished watching. Before we jump into the lighting process, let me give you a quick rundown of what I've done to the file since the modeling video was published. Then we'll use some simple materials from the Chaos Cosmos to get the file all set up for the lighting process. Let's get started. The first thing I did was to add some vegetation and furniture to the scene. And guess what? I got them all from the Chaos Cosmos. Pretty cool, right? You can access it right from here. And let me tell you, their library has grown a lot recently. You can explore different categories and add whatever you need to your scene. You can find pretty much anything to kickstart any project. For instance, for these specific items, just head over to the vegetation section, pick what you need, and then simply drag and drop it right into your scene. When it comes to adding grass, here's how you can do it. Go to the preset section, then find the surface presets, and look for the one I'm using, this one. Once you've found it, select the geometries where you want the grass to appear, and then simply export the models. It's as easy as that. Also for the trees surrounding the house, I created this surface and used the trees from the same category. Then I just exported the models and added them to the scene. Okay, now we can go ahead and make some materials to make the scene ready for the lighting process. Remember, this video is about the lighting and drafting. It's not about making materials, so I'm not gonna make it complex. I'm gonna just keep everything super simple, so we have a really good base to start the lighting. So let's go ahead and start with the glass. You can go ahead and select all the glass geometries that you have in the scene, one by one, like that. Or to make the process easier, I made a selection set for every geometry in the scene, and I have the glass right here. So all the glass is selected. Let's go ahead to the material editor. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. Now let's create a V-Ray material. And for this one, I'm going to use one of the presets, this one, Glass Architectural. Now let's apply the material to the selection with this one. Okay. For the next one, we're gonna go ahead and select the frames. And let's make a black metal material for this. Another V-Ray material. I'm going to make it almost black. Let's give it reflection, and I'm going to increase the IOR a little bit. Let's decrease the glossiness, and that's good enough. Okay. The next one will be the walls, and I have the selection ready. And for this one, I'm going to use one of the Chaos Cosmos materials. Let's open up the Cosmos, go to the materials, and maybe in the concrete section, I can find a useful material. This one might work, but let's check other categories as well. No, nothing here. So let's go to the walls. And I think this one can work. It looks cool. Okay, let's download this one, and once the download is finished, you can just select all the geometries and export the material. Okay, with the geometry selected, let's hit export. And for some reason, it only applies the material to one geometry. So let's go ahead and pick the material from that one geometry, which is this one. I'm gonna enable move children from here so everything moves together. Let's check the size also to see if it has real world scale. It doesn't. So we have to give it a UVW map modifier. Now let's apply the material to everything. And from the modifier list, I'm going to add a UVW map modifier. But before that, let's check the size. It's 50 centimeters. Okay, UVW map. Let's put it on the box and use 50 centimeters. Perfect. Okay, for the next one, we have this stone material. I have it selected here. Once again, let's open up the Cosmos and go to the stone category. Seems like none of these can work for me, so I'm going to the tiles category. And yeah, I think that one could work. Yeah, definitely, that's the one. So let's just download it and do the whole thing again. Just export it, apply it to the all geometries, and use a UVW modifier. As you can see, the size is 200 centimeters, so after applying the material to every geometry, we're going to add a UVW map modifier and use 200 centimeters as its size. Now I need these tiles to be horizontal, and to do that I can select the gizmo by pressing 1 on the keyboard and just rotate the gizmo like so. Okay, perfect. Okay, now we need another material for these tiles, and we're gonna repeat the whole process. For this one, I'm going to the stone category, materials, stone, and let's pick one from here. I guess this one can work. Okay, once again, I'm going to select the floor from the selection set and export the material. Again, let's select it from the geometry, apply it to all the rest of the geometries, and use a UVW map with this size. The next one will be the dirt material for these geometries, and we're going to repeat the whole process. Here are the geometries. Let's open up the Cosmos, and let's see where we can find the material for that. I think the ground category would be the one. Alright, let's see what we have here. Yeah, definitely this one can work. So let's download it and repeat the whole process. Now we need to create a white metallic material for these geometries. So let's go ahead and select all the geometries first. Alright, let's go to the material editor. And we can actually make a copy out of this one by holding shift and dragging it. And I'm just going to change the color. Let's make it grayish and just apply it to the geometries. Sorry, this one. Okay. Alright, let's check to see if everything's okay. Alright, this geometry doesn't have any material. Let's give this stone material to it. I'm going to use the same UVW map. And the water is left to do. For that, I'm going to create another Vray material. And let's use the water preset for that. Right here. Alright, I'm going to give it a little bit of fog color so it has some bluish tint to it. Let's increase the depth also. Alright, now apply the material to the geometry. Perfect. Let's apply the stone material to them with the same UVW map. So I'm going to copy this one and just paste it over these geometries. Okay. I think everything is ready and we can go ahead and start the lighting. Oh, actually this geometry doesn't have material tool. Let's apply the same material to that. Same UVW map modifier. And that's it. We can start the lighting. I'm not really sure about this material, but let's see. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start with this camera, and the only thing that I've changed in the camera settings is the EV value. Let's put it on target and use 13.5. And this number will give you a pretty good head start if you're going to use Vray Sun and Sky. And you need to do something else also. Let's go to the environment by pressing 8 on your keyboard and change this number to the same number that you're using in your camera. You can also open it from here as well. So 13.5 here. I probably have some environment effects down there. Okay, let's go ahead and get rid of that. Alright, and next we can go ahead and change some stuff in the render settings. In the Vray tab, let's use bucket and use 24 for mean shading rate, 1 as min subdivs, and 10 for max. And I haven't changed anything else, but let's go ahead and add some elements. I'm going to add a crypto mat, denoiser, and a light mix. Yeah, it's right there. Okay. Alright, now we can finally start. So, as you saw in the intro, these are the references that we're going to work with. I'm gonna ignore the second one, but we're gonna go with the first one, this one, and then we're going to work on this sunny image, and at the end, this overcast. Alright, let's go ahead and start with this. As you can see, in this particular scene, the light source is behind the building, so it's kind of a backlit situation. And to create that, we're going to use a Vray Sun and Sky light setup. So the camera is looking this way, so let's go ahead and create a Vray Sun either from the toolbar or from the create panel. Right there. So I'm just going to drop it into the scene. Let's hit yes, so it adds the environment. And in the front view, I'm just going to move it up a little. Alright, let's start the preview to see what we got. Alright, as you can already see, the scene is not that bright, and we need to reposition the sun a little bit to get more or less the same position that we have in the reference image. So I'm going to move it up a little and probably a little bit to the right. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and add an exposure layer adjustment. And we can reduce the highlight burn so we can get rid of some of these burns that are happening in the scene. Okay, I should have actually turned off the interior lights. I forgot about that. Let's go ahead and select this one. Let's put these on the lights. Select the light and just turn it off. Alright. Now to make the scene a bit brighter, to match it with the reference image that we have, we can actually increase the exposure in the exposure layer adjustment, like that. Okay, as you can see, the sunlight is here, but we don't see it in the reference image. Let's make it a bit bigger first, so we get like a smoother shadows, and I'm going to decrease the intensity of the light from here. And let's increase the environment light. Alright, that's good enough. Now we have to make the image look a bit warmer, since the reference image is warmer. And to do that, we can add a white balance and just increase the temperature from here. Okay, let's go to the light mix and even make the environment light a bit warmer as well. Alright, cool. Now let's add a filmic tone map, and with this one we can actually modify the highlights, the shadows, the contrast, and almost everything. It gives you a lot of control. So let's make it look a bit closer to the reference image with just modifying all of these adjustments that we already have. Maybe even less sunlight. You can actually turn it off completely, but I don't mind it to be there. It's not looking bad. I'm gonna keep it. Okay, that's good. Let's make it a bit warmer also. And just a little bit less contrast. Alright, I think it's getting there, but let's go ahead and increase the bloom effect in the back like that. Okay, perfect. Now the vegetation. We need to match the color of the vegetation that we have in our render to what we have in the reference image. And for that reason, we've added the crypto matte into our elements. So let's go ahead and add a hue saturation layer adjustment. And for it to only work on the vegetation, we need to create a mask for it. And for that reason, you can come here, select that, crypto matte mask, and just add all the vegetation that you need to change their colors with this, like so. Let's select everything. Let's go back to the properties tab and just adjust whatever you want to do. So I'm gonna make it more yellowish with a little bit of more saturation. And that's it. Alright, it looks good. We can do the same thing for the trees as well. Let's go ahead and add another one. Crypto matte mask. Let's add the trees. Alright, properties tab, and just adjust the hue. Okay, let's go ahead and adjust some of these adjustments a little bit more. And I think it's working now. We did it in like 5 minutes, right? It's a fast draft and it's kind of working. You can go ahead and improve it if you want. But for a draft, this is looking cool, in my opinion. So we can stop this one and go ahead and start the second one. Alright, for the second image, we're going with this sunny mood. And if you pay close attention to the details, you can already tell where the light is shining. Like, we can find the light direction from these details right here. And as you can see, it's coming from this direction. Alright, let's go ahead to the Create tab, Lights, V-Ray, and create a V-Ray sun in the scene. Let's hit OK, yes, and we're going to move it up like so. Alright, let's start the render to see what we have. By the way, if you guys want to have these files, you can find them on my website. The link is in the description. But obviously I cannot share the models from Cosmos, so you can only find the building itself in the file, and that's it. So make sure to go ahead and check out my website also. Alright, here is the initial preview, and as you can see, it's a bit far from what we have in the reference image. Let's go ahead and create a white balance, make it a bit cooler, and I think this is enough. And actually we need to have some foreground shadows like what we have in the reference, and to do that you can just go ahead and select the forest that we have and put it in the manual mode by pressing 1 and just move these trees a little bit closer to get some shadow in the scene. Okay, maybe another one. Just move them around to get some shadows, like nice shadows in the scene. Maybe a bit closer. All right, I like that. All right, these shadows are looking okay. I like them. But as you can see, we have a brighter scene, like actually brighter highlights in the reference image. And to do that, I'm going to increase the intensity a little bit. And after that, I should probably decrease the burns, highlight burns, just a tiny bit. And to get this white, super white material or highlights, I can actually just improve the highlights or the light on this geometry. And as we did before, we're going to do it with the curves adjustments and crypto matte. So let's go ahead and select that and just increase the intensity. Okay, that's more like it. And we need to take care of the grass also, or the vegetation. Let's go ahead and add a hue saturation with a crypto matte mask. Select everything that is necessary. And just adjust the hues and also the saturation. I actually don't like what's happening on this tree, but I'm gonna leave it as it is for now. But later on we can just create another hue saturation just for the trees and do it over there. Okay, I think the shadows can be a bit darker and also the sky color can be a bit different. In the light mix, we can just go ahead and change its color a little bit. But we can also do this in Photoshop afterwards when the render is finished. So, but for a draft, I would prefer to do it here. All right, let's add another adjustment layer. And this time we're going with the filmic tone map. Okay, let's adjust the contrast, highlights, shadows to make it look a bit closer to the reference that we have. Let's just increase the exposure just a tiny bit and decrease the highlight burns. Just a little bit. All right. Okay, as I said, let's separate the trees from the grass in the hue saturation adjustment layer. So I'm going to delete that one and create two separate ones. For the first one, we're going to select the grass and the shrubs and okay. All right. And for the trees, I'm going to create another one. Maybe less saturation, but a bit more yellowish tint. Okay, I think this is also good enough for a draft, and you can still go ahead and improve it as you want, but for the sake of this tutorial, this is good enough for me. So, for the next one, we're going with this overcast image, and this time we're not going to use the Vray sun and sky, but we're going to use an HDRI image from the cosmos. Alright, I removed everything from the previous scene, like the adjustment layers and the lights and everything, so for this one, let's go to the cosmos. And in the HDRI category, let's go to the evening and let's find an image with lots of clouds. And I've already tried, actually, let's see. Yes, I tried that one. And it's actually working pretty good. So it has a lot of clouds in it, and it's an overcast image that doesn't have very strong highlights. So let's just export it into the scene and just start rendering to see what we have. Okay, as you can see, the colors are completely off, and maybe if we rotate it we can get a better background. Okay, let's see. You need to actually activate lock texture to the icon, so as you're rotating the light, also the background or the image is rotating as well. Let's see what options do we have here. Okay, I think this is looking cool. So to change the color, let's go ahead to the material editor and just drag and drop the texture from the light, just like that, into the material editor. Let's make it an instance, hit OK, and there we have the texture. Now we need to add a color correction to this texture. So let's go ahead and right click on the texture or the map and select change. Alright, now we need a color correction node, and you can find it right here. Let's keep the old map as a submap, and there we have the hue saturation. Now let's go ahead and decrease the saturation like that. Alright, now we need to get rid of the highlight burns by adding an exposure layer adjustment and decreasing the highlight burns. And I would increase the intensity a little bit also. Now let's just make it a little bit warmer. And a filmic tone map to control the highlights and the shadows. I'm gonna make it a bit colder. Okay, now let's go ahead and take care of the vegetation. Let's add a hue saturation, crypto matte mask. Let's add these objects to the mask and just make them yellowish. Yeah, I'm pretty sure something is not selected over there. Okay, there we have it. Now let's do the same thing for the trees. Crypto matte mask, let's add the trees and just adjust the hue and saturation. I'm going to decrease the overall saturation of the image also. Let's adjust these a little bit more. Maybe we can get a better result. Alright, I think this draft is looking quite good, and we're going to wrap it up here. In future tutorials, I'll be covering more about exterior lighting and exploring various light setups in depth. I hope you've learned how to create quick lighting drafts from this video and enjoyed the process. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and remember to visit my website to download the file if you need it. See you in the next one.